Welcome friends, it's Jo Bendel here, and today we're going to whiz through the Back in the Game workshops. I'm going to share 3 ways to realign and reactivate you and your business today. Now, we're doing something a bit different because I never do pre-recorded trainings. I always run these things live, and then we get all the energy of you guys in the chat box asking questions and going off on all those great tangents. However, it feels like everybody is busy at the moment, and trying to get everyone together at a specific time isn't easy. And I know so many of you are feeling a little bit anxious around not maybe there's some resistance coming up, just like really not getting yourself into action. And so I just wanted to get this out to you to ASAP so that we can get you back in the game, right? This workshop is going to be a bit like a really grounding hug, as well as it's going to relight that fire in your belly. And it is a little bit different to my usual practical planning sessions because I wanted to give you some tools that you can use again and again to get yourself back into momentum when you're feeling that resistance. Now, all 3 of these strategies, I use them as and when I need to get myself back in the game, to get myself excited about my business again. And this is how I can get myself into action when maybe I'm not feeling it. So I hope you've got pen and paper at the ready. We are going to bring some This Girl Is On Fire energy, which, as you all know, is my go-to theme tune for getting myself fired up and back in the game. So I'm going to share 3 easy to use exercises, and because I'm all about more, I'm also going to share the 6 meant for more success habits. Now, you may have heard me talk about these before. I'm just going to whiz through them very quickly because if one of those lands and you're like, yes, this is where I need to put my attention, needed that reminder. So I just want you to get one thing from today that's going to like activate or shift something for you. There's going to be no sales pitch, but you can always reach out to me via email or over on the socials if you want to explore getting my support to work with you and your business. And then before we dive in, I really want to give you a massive high five for everything that you are, everything that you do. When we decided to work for ourselves and follow a dream, we did not take the easy route, did we? So I'm absolutely high-fiving you today. Don't forget to celebrate yourself. This is a massively underrated productivity hack, by the way, and we don't do it anywhere near enough. But if you sat in that celebration for a bit, it would also activate you. Okay, I didn't come this far to only come this far. This is the meant for more mantra, absolutely, right? We didn't come this far to only come this far. So even saying that out loud, it shifts something inside of you. It feels uplifting. Even if that motivation isn't consistent, even though those growing pains, those internal growing pains are real, even though sometimes it can feel hard or tough, we always know that we did not come this far to only come this far, right? So we've got to get ourselves back in the game. Okay, the first strategy is take a trip down memory lane. So I think what we can, obviously, when we've been in business for a while, we can get lost in the doing. We can kind of forget to remind ourselves why we started, what our hopes and dreams were way back then, or if it's quite recent for you. So inviting you to think about what's one of the earliest memories of when you started your business. Like I can really picture myself exactly, where I was sat I lived in the UK. I lived with my boyfriend at the time, had the obligatory new IKEA desk to start the business off. I had big dreams. I had big goals. They felt a very long way off. And now looking back, 11 years I've been in business now. And now looking back 11 years, I'm so proud of that version of me. She was determined. She had a big dream. She wanted something different. She didn't want to be like, is this it? So I want you to really reconnect in what made you make the decision to grow a business, to build a business, to do something different. What did you want? Did you want to make an impact? Did you want to create more freedom for yourself? For me, it was all about having the freedom to travel. I wanted to travel more. I wanted a business that I could run from anywhere in the world. It was this, obviously I didn't believe that it was possible until you just decide, right, I'm going to find a way. So what motivated you to start working for yourself? And I want you to remind yourself why you started and give yourself a reason to carry on, okay? And always taking a moment to high five that version of you who got brave, got courageous. What an incredible human. Determined, courageous. That version of you is responsible for where you are now. So really take that time to connect And yeah, just bring that perspective back around why you started. And it might be different now. Like I said, I've been in business 11 years. I have created so much spaciousness and freedom in my business, which was the goal at the start, but I'm still activated by so many things around why I started. And then what do you wish that you could go back and tell that version of you about everything that you've achieved, where you are now, what's different? I mean, I could not even begin to imagine 11 years ago what my business would even look like now. It's, you know, we don't plan these things. And really thinking back to that moment when you started, and we chart our way all the way to today. It's amazing how far you've come, the obstacles, the challenges, all of that stuff that we've come through. And what if you could just go back and tell that version of yourself? And I know we're not done yet, but what advice would you give them? Just letting them know. And why is this relevant to getting ourselves back in the game? This is what helps us stay in alignment. That's when we're in the game, feeling unstoppable, feeling focused, clear on our next moves, because we are really attached to why we're doing this. And the why comes before the how. This is an important one that we're going to have to keep hearing again and again and again. The why matters, the how isn't as important. But of course, we all get stuck on the how. We all want to know, but how? And, you know, I guess I'm not going to be the only one that can say, if I only know the how, if I look backwards on those 11 years and I see the steps that I took, I couldn't have known that looking forward. So we generally only know the how looking backwards, and we have to be adaptable to that. So get attached to that why, thinking about why you started. But also, what have you outgrown? What have you already achieved? What's no longer relevant for you in your story? You know, is there anything, I mean, a good one to think about is like your client offerings, like the things that you sell. Are they still, do you still love delivering those? Do you still love serving your clients in that way? Are you still, is it still filling your cup to run the business that you've built? Because I think that's also part of our journey around, we built something because probably most of us, our first goal was, I need to be bringing in consistent income. And we do whatever we feel like we can do. And then you get to a stage where the income's coming in and you're like, oh, actually, am I even doing the stuff that I love? What about your business hours? Are you just rinse and repeating? Like maybe when you started, you were like, I'm going to take Fridays off, or whatever that might look like for you. Are you doing that? What else is no longer relevant? What needs revisiting? So this is like an analysis, like give yourself an assessment around, why did I start? And what's still relevant around those goals? And the other thing is, I want to tell you that quick story about these two bricklayers. So there's these two bricklayers working on the same job. One loves his work, the other not so much. And if you ask the uninspired bricklayer what he's doing, he's going to say, I'm building a wall. And if you ask the passionate bricklayer what he's doing, he's going to say, I'm building a cathedral. So the actions may be the same. They may be doing exactly the same thing. It's the same as you. If you're, you know, like you might be like working towards growing your business, but the meaning transforms it all. When you connect to that bigger purpose of your work, you can achieve something different, and you can get more out of yourself, because you're suddenly like, I can't not do this. So really remembering why I'm doing this, who it's important for. So the second strategy for getting back in the game is a bit different. Now, we can always feel like we come last, but a fast way to get yourself back in the game and back into alignment is to activate main character energy. And this is about becoming your favorite self. Now, I love this term, my favorite self. Of course, we've all talked about future self, next level self, and all of those things, you know, still work for me. But at the moment, I'm loving this, I'm loving being my favorite self. You know, she's the version of me who follows through on things. She's really living in her mission, just like the main character of a movie does. And thinking about what her habits are, what her characteristics are, what thoughts she has, how does she work? Like, what does her schedule look like? And really stepping into this main character energy of being the favorite version of me. I love that. It's really empowering. And it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter if you're an introvert. It doesn't matter if you're not even aligned with the 6-7 figure goals, right? Because we're not, most of us here. Or if you've fallen out of love with your business, maybe you're feeling a little bit lost in your industry. It's not about showing off or being this movie star vibes. It's about being able to prioritize what you need to thrive, okay? And your daily habits are the things that are going to help you put yourself in the middle of your business, which is where your business needs you to be, right? This is about Yeah, it needs you right there, like not racing ahead, not lagging behind, not future worrying, not sitting in overwhelm, right in the middle, feeling like the main character of the show. What does she think? What does she do? How does she, what does she think is the next step? And then thinking about what is different when you're in this main character energy. And it might be, it's not always about having the plan and working it. It could be the small things, like lighting a special candle that makes you feel amazing, because how you feel is going to determine what action you take. And so thinking about your desk, do I, like sometimes I'll have a new candle, and it is the small things. Oh yeah, that's the other thing I wrote in there. I love buying myself nice skincare. It's probably something I only do twice a year because it lasts a long time. But of course, when I'm using it, it feels good. It feels indulgent. You might be somebody who really wants beautiful bed sheets. How do you feel? What makes you feel like you're this main character? You are the main character of your life and your business. Maybe you've got a cleaner. Maybe you want fresh flowers more often. And what about the work environment? Does your desk need a declutter? Do you want to slightly move it? I have literally shifted my desk slightly. It's moved into a different part nearer the window. It feels completely different. So what little small things can you change? What supports you, reminds you to be that version of you? And who you are being is as important as what you are doing. And we know that, don't we? And that's the thing that we can forget. So let's spend less time wondering if it's going to work out and more time working this fabulous main character energy to ensure that it does, day by day, step by step. Like nothing happens by accident in your business. It's who you are being that will get you back in the game and will change things. So if we get practical, you can pause this and do some journaling. What is the plot of your story? Like what you do today and what you do this week is going to determine what life looks like in the next month. And in the future, right? It could be the better, it could be the same. You don't want to wake up in 6 months' time feeling exactly the same as you do right now. So what does main character energy mean to you? What does it look like? What's different? Are you prioritizing your story or someone else's? It's very easy for us that love to help. I mean, we live in a very noisy online industry where we get, we look at what other people are doing. We want to be coming back to staying in my lane, my story. And then what about a song? Is there a song for this part of your story that's going to really shift you into this main character energy and remember to be her? And then really being honest with yourself, like, am I following the crowd instead of really living intuitively and authentically as the main character of my life? Are you going after an old dream that maybe isn't relevant anymore? You've outgrown it. Or are you ignoring that niggle that you want more? Maybe deep inside, you know that you're meant for more, but you're sitting in the comfort zone, the comfy comfort zone. What I will tell you from experience, lots of experience, the comfort zone gets very, very uncomfortable if you stay in it for too long. And you kind of get booted out of it sometimes, so be careful. All right, strategy number 3, get a new story. This is about taking another look. We do not want to leave our mind unsupervised. And, if you think about from your own journey, the way that you look at something can color everything. If you're trying to find your groove again, then I want to remind you that your thoughts can make or break your day. They can completely change how you feel, but you have to be in charge of your thoughts and not letting your mind unsupervised be throwing all these random stories at you that are not making you feel good, that are not making you feel like the main character who has a choice. If you found yourself saying things like, I'm not ready yet, maybe you're coming up against these growing pains, these internal growing pains, which we all come across. And instead of thinking like, I'm in my stretch zone, you're thinking, oh my goodness, I can't do this anymore. Like really keeping an eye on the stories. Do you find yourself getting pulled into what others are saying? We've got to be aware of what's getting our input. So I think just like jotting down, if you want to just pause again and like just jotting down, what are the thoughts that are coming up at the moment? Like really do a thought dump. These are the thoughts that are going on in my mind. Because when we write them down, but when they're swirling up here, they've got a lot of power, right? We believe them, they make us feel something. Our thoughts create feeling inside of us. But when we write them down, it like removes the power. Oh, right, that's what I'm thinking. Well, I know that's not true, or I know that's not right, or what I'll do for that. Okay, you might be freaking out that the year is flying by and you're not where you want to be. What thoughts have you got on repeat in your head at the moment? And look at it. It's so fascinating when we stop and we check, what is the story that my mind's telling me? And do I like that one? Like, I want you to know that this is a great time for business. No matter what is being said out there, you are here. You have a vision. What you do matters. You have got the power to write what is coming next. If you think about, you get to write the next chapter, even though your mind is going to be throwing out like stories at you, because it wants you to stay where you are. Our mind really, really likes familiar. It doesn't want us to change. So we no longer leave our mind unsupervised. It can't be trusted. It can't be trusted to be running the story that you need to be in this main character energy. And a reminder here, this is what's going on for all of us. Our mind has one job: protect us, keep us right where we are. And so if any of these things are coming up, this is your mind. Start things, but don't finish them. Not doing the inner work, keeping busy, not on the tasks that matter. No goals, no clarity, no focus. Maybe you haven't got that vision. Maybe you don't know what you're after next. Lack of boundaries, not prioritizing the income generating tasks, not prioritizing self-care and well-being. Like, which ones of these are you guilty of? Waiting for things to be perfect, listening to everyone, not trusting yourself. That was a big one for me for a long time. I was always looking outside. Now I really will hit the journal. I'll ask myself questions. I'll get clarity that way. Maybe you love planning, but you're not so great at implementing. All of these things, if you're nodding your head, going on, nodding, being like, yes, all of those, don't beat yourself up. It is natural. We all come across these. These are what I call growing pains. This is what happens when we step out into wanting more. It's normal, but we get to choose. Am I going to stay here? Is this going to be like the end of the story? Or do I write the next chapter where I step into this main character energy, remember why, and I manage the story? So I give myself and give my everything, the stories that I'm telling myself, so that I can become. So really just calling yourself out very lovingly. Like I said, this is a big grounding hug, but also we want to get you activated. If it's to be, it is up to me. Okay. Write your next chapter. This is write the next page of what's going to happen to you and your business, remembering these things like reconnecting to the why. Is it written from the main character energy? So if you're going to write the next chapter of your business's journey, what does that look like? But you don't write it from the version of you who is feeling a little bit funky and unfocused. You write it from the main character energy, that version of you. What does she think the next part of the story is? And you could maybe you could hit the journal and just write out now the next chapter. And perhaps you can use it as a prompt. Everything changed when I decided to get myself back in the game. The date is, write the date that you're watching this. And then bring in the why and bring in how you're going to center yourself in that gorgeous energy. Write the next story about how you weren't held back. Like 3 quick paragraphs, right? I want you to own that next part of the story, like write it, step into it, because we all know we did not come this far to only come this far. Future journaling is really, really powerful. If you want to write a date at some time in the future and be like, oh, I woke up today and these were my, maybe it would be like, oh, and I hosted a VIP day. I had a client come to a beautiful venue. And, what things do you want to put into your future? All right. Okay. How are you feeling? How are you feeling? These principles literally can bring you back into alignment. They can really get you reactivated and back in the game. It is so important for us to remember that we have control of how we feel, and we can get ourselves back in the game at any time if we stop and pause, and we don't just keep rinsing, repeating, ticking things off on the to-do list. Get yourself back into main character energy. You are not who you were even 3 months ago. Your growth game is strong. You are the holder of the pen. You're literally writing the next chapter of your story. And yeah, before I say that, I was going to say, we didn't come this far to only come this far. So like really imagining your job is to get yourself back in the game. Use these strategies as often as you need to keep getting a new story, being that main character, remembering that you can't not do this. Okay? Thinking about the next 6 months, 6 months of being back in the game. You're sought after for your work. People are commenting on, oh my gosh, how you're showing up, literally noticing the shift in you. Maybe you're taking more time off. You're loving your business again because you've made those tweaks and you're achieving things that have been on the to-do list for years. Like, this is what is going into the next part of your story. Remember, if it's to be, it is up to me. Now, I promised I was going to give you the 6 habits that are the 6 meant for more success habits. I'm going to whiz through these. Really check in. Which one of these do I need to knuckle down and own? Okay. This is the 6 habits that will radically boost your results and take you from playing small to claiming the more that you know that you're meant for. So the first one is be honest. Admit. But the first one is be honest. We've got to be honest with ourselves. Whether it's admitting that, yeah, there are some things that I'm doing that are slowing me down, or admitting that actually, yeah, I'm not really loving where I'm at right now and I want to make some changes. Maybe you want something to be different if you're not feeling fulfilled. You know that you're capable of more. You've got bigger dreams and you're not really reaching your true potential because maybe you're stuck in some stories. Focusing on what you think is possible instead of aiming high, and just getting honest. You can change what isn't working, and this is a loving mission here. We're like, okay, I'm just going to be honest with myself. It's not beating ourselves up because this is all part of our journey, and it might be that you're busy right now and you can't get to claiming more, and that's also there are stages that we're in, and be in the stage that you're in. Number 2 is where, not how. We kind of touched on this. Reconnect to that North Star, that secret dream, really reconnect all the time, every day at the moment if you need it, to remember why you're doing this. Get fired up. It will make you feel unstoppable. It's going to give you that massive momentum, drive, and focus every day. It's our job to connect in every day to what's going to activate us. And use that vision is how you're going to move through the fear and the procrastination. Remember, fear hates action. And it's a lot easier to take action when you, one, give yourself the next step, but we also remember why we're doing it. And yet trust and let go of needing to know the whole how. Okay. Number 3, do the inner work every day. Again, right, what we've talked about here is doing these 3 strategies, doing these more often. So yeah, your thoughts fuel your feelings, which determine your actions. When you show up daily without the doubts of procrastination, you get things done that will grow your business. You give yourself permission to be the best version of you, to be your favorite self. How gorgeous is that? What does she do differently? And you create these daily rituals so that you can really you can really show up for it. And then number 4 is treat everything like an experiment. Oh, this is a good one. It doesn't mean that we're not focusing on trying to get a result, but it's the most important, most powerful way to move through things. So action is as I said, fear hates action. So get yourself into it. Give yourself permission to take imperfect action, because you can't fail. There is no failure until you quit. And that isn't necessarily failure either. It's a decision that you made for the right reasons. You've got to get out there, because everything we do, we learn. We learn from it. And we're like, okay, yeah. And that's how every business is built. You're going to get comfortable being uncomfortable. It's how we learn. It's how we evolve. It's how we grow. And then, treating everything like an experiment. It's really allowed me to actually take action. And that's how I learned, how I tweaked, how I grew, how I created a business that I absolutely love. And I choose how, there's nothing in the business that I don't love, because I have built it that way. But it didn't look like that for the first few years. Number 5, do what matters first. All of these things are really hard, okay? Set less goals. Of course, we've all got way too many goals. But if we set less and we go all in on it, and if we don't hit it, our brain is freaking out about that. And that's why we don't do things like that. Going all in. 20% of your efforts will bring in 80% of your results. And so most people will have a to-do list of 10 things. 2 things on that list are going to have a big impact on your week, your month, your year. And yet the 8 things that are easier, we're fiddling around and spending time on those. So really, again, going back to number 1, being honest, challenging yourself. Am I doing the 20% tasks? Because you don't have to do everything. We're never going to be able to do everything. All right. Number 6, find your tribe. Find your tribe. Yeah, this journey is just definitely not meant to be taken alone. I think we all know that. Surround yourself with like-minded people who help you stay in action mode despite your doubts. Find people who activate you and spend time in their energy. It's totally okay to put ourselves in the energy, around people who have that energy that allow us to really believe what else is possible. And I want to also remind you of making sure that the people you are spending time with do have similar values to you. Or if you're being inspired by people online, do they have similar values to you? Because I think what can happen is we can get caught up in some of the highlight reel, and then we set goals because we've seen those people set them and we're like, yeah, I should do that. And then it doesn't it's not important to you. It's like setting the money goals. Sometimes for a lot of us, it doesn't work. And so I do think that values is really important. And the things that are important to me in my business and my values are authenticity, being able to show up really real, imperfectly, sharing the ups and downs of the journey. I'm basically just a girl going after her dreams, sharing what she learns on the way, and being able to do that really authentically. Connection is a massive goal for is a big value of mine, and that's why my business is built the way it's built, so that I have connection with my clients. I had a membership when I didn't have a lot of connection, when I was full-time traveling, and that served my value of freedom. But then when I got my home, that value of connection was missing. So like really remembering your values matter. Like if something's not feeling right, it's usually a value that's not being met. So I think that's just an important thing to share as well. Okay, what you want also wants you, but is waiting for you to make the next move. This is your time. Your next move is the key to getting your more. You have got this. Hopefully you're feeling energized. How do we keep you in the game? I just want to say, like, you're part of the Meant for More movement now. This is for business owners who refuse to settle, who know that it's up to them to pull themselves back into being in the game. So keeping these 3 strategies, keep using them, right? They'll get you back in the game. You can use them as often as you need to. And remember, if it's to be, it is up to me. You've got this. Get support if you need it. Reach out to me on email or on Instagram if you would like my support. There's so much content available now that I wanted to bring and share something a little bit different, because sometimes getting back in the game is an internal shift that is needed first. And then we've got all this evidence, right? We can feel excited and aligned with our goals. And when we show up and take action, it is from a different energy. So that internal shift today was really about activating something, getting that fire lit inside of you, and the external results will come from that. So thank you so much. I hope that has been useful. As always, please reach out and let me know what landed. Did this help you? Was it useful to be able to just do this in your own time instead of coming live? Like, give me the feedback, because that really helps me as well. Okay, sending you lots of love. Here's to getting back in the game and going for it. Take care.